Hey guys, Cody here. I'm going to go ahead and answer a few questions. I will read the questions that are in front of me in case you choose not to listen and want to fast forward. So, what tactics does DS teach and how proficient can you become? Do you or do I plan to teach tactics? How does working in different presidential administrations differ? I had to rephrase that, so I'll tell you why as we go forward. And then how accurate was 13 hours? And I wanted to answer that one because I think there's some pretty funny parts there. So what tactics does DS teach and how proficient can you become? So remember, let me answer that reverse. You can become as proficient as you choose to be down the road. At FLETC, you have a limited time frame in which you have to train, and you take a test, and either at FLETC or at DS determines what is proficient. So you might become proficient to their standards, or are you proficient as compared to others, or proficient as you want to be. That's generally up to you. If you continue to train like anything else, you continue to train after the fact, then you can become very proficient in a number of these different elements. So what tactics do we teach? So at FLETC, you're going to go through the criminal investigator training program, so you learn how to conduct criminal investigations from start to finish. It's basic investigations. There's a lot of nuanced investigations that you'll learn as you go through, on the job training and actually working. But you'll learn a good bit of federal law and federal statutes that you might come into contact with, that you might investigate. Officer response training or officer response tactics. I just remember it's called ORT. It's like PT, and then like ground fighting and a number of different things. Search and seizure, or not search and seizure, but like patting someone down. It's combined. There's a lot of different things combined. So they call it officer response tactics or techniques. Weapons and tactics, of course, they'll teach you that. You'll do some room entry, just a little bit, but you'll do some, and a few other things, or a good bit of other things. But that's just something that come to mind. You can go look on the FLETC website, and I believe they have all the different things that you get taught during CITP, Criminal Investigator Training Program, and that's the one you'll be going to if you are seeking to become a DS agent. You go to CITP. With DS, so you do your time at FLETC. I think it's three months or so, and then you go to DS training. Those of you who have watched other videos, you'll know this. And then DS training is now at Fort Pickett, which I think is in Virginia. I'm pretty sure it's in Virginia. For those of you that are interested in learning more about Fort Pickett, I had some active duty special agents on the Off the X podcast that came on and talked about Fort Pickett. But when you go to DS training, it's more specific training, so more specific investigations related to passport fraud or federal identity theft, which is 1028. We call it 1028 Big A. Something you can look up and learn a little bit about, but you'll kind of focus on those. So they'll do like casework and managing a case and caseload and everything. You'll learn about protection and all it encompasses: motorcade ops, advanced work. You'll learn each position, so you'll be a shift leader, you'll be a lead right front or tactical commander. You'll learn communication on the radio, or communication how DS does it. And again, with all these items, there's more, of course, and I could probably go research and find exactly everything, but if someone wants to know that, just ping me. But I think you kind of get an idea with what I'm going on here. But again, you can become as proficient with these. And some of these things you'll become very proficient in. Particularly like if you're in New York and you do a protection and you're an advanced agent, you'll become it'll be like second nature to you. If you're out in Houston and you do advances a couple times a year, or more or less, you won't be as proficient. So. Do I plan to teach tactics? I'm assuming they mean like with these videos or anything, it's people teaching stuff on the web. The answer is no. I can hold my own on the range. I hold my own in tactics. I think I'm above average at those, but I'm certainly not the end all be all. I'm nowhere near the level of being an instructor with range or be on the range, weapons and tactics, room entry, all that. There are people, if you're interested, I can direct you to that are really skilled individuals, buddies of mine that are kicking ass in that game, and I'm happy to make recommendations to anyone that needs to go and do that. I'd say I do this a little bit, and at some point as I evolve, when I have more time, as my son gets older and I start to get more time, I think I excel in I hate this term, but the soft skills, security soft skills, evaluating risk, threat recognition, threat mitigation, these type of what would you do in these types of scenarios. I think that's an area I've excelled in, and I'm happy to continue sharing that right now on a limited basis and maybe more down the road. There's the other soft skills or interpersonal skills. I've mentioned this 100 times. I know I'm keep beating it, but relationship building, communication, and a term that's used often these days, quote unquote, emotional intelligence. I think those are areas that are extremely important for a DS agent, because you are working with people often when you're overseas that are not in a law enforcement field, that may not have similar mindset, that may have obviously different goals as compared to a field office where you're all kind of going down the same path. So having those soft skills, can't tell you enough, or can't tell you how important those are enough. So work on them if you can. So this one, how is it working in different presidential administrations? So the way it was phrased initially, I don't know if it was kind of a dig or a poke or a question or I don't know. So I try to take it as it wasn't, but I wanted to rephrase it anyway. So with the way it was phrased, I'll just say this, we don't, DS agents, I don't know of any DS agents, just like people join the military, that join to serve a particular president. We join because it's a freaking awesome job. It's law enforcement. You get to travel. You get to be on in the front of diplomacy, doing things that most agents and other federal agencies don't get to do. So when you join, that's what you join for. So who you serve under, I know guys have served 20 years. They've served under multiple administrations. They've had good experiences under both. And they have their own politics set aside, but you join to do an awesome job and continue serving your country, and that's why you do it. So, but how does it work? Not logistically, but the different administrations have different goals, and so you might come into some budgetary issues. That's usually at the higher levels, but you'll hear them and you may feel them at post as you become a little more senior or mid-level. Your relationships with contacts oftentimes matters. I remember in Vietnam, there were a couple, that was when the TPP, Trans-Pacific Partnership, which I don't know much about, but I knew we were pushing that a lot. We were promoting that a lot, and it was a good thing for Vietnam. And so our relationship with the contacts there really, really grew. And I think we all liked each other on a personal level, but it's almost like they had the blessing from Hanoi to, their capital, Vietnam, to engage us more, and then there were some other incidents in the South China Sea where a Vietnamese fishing vessel got into contact with a Chinese fishing vessel. There was a dispute over some territory. The Chinese vessel, sprayed them with water, but like a big cannon of water, and I think one of the guys died or something. And that, obviously the U.S. came out against that. Obviously, Vietnam was against that, and so that kind of pushed them closer to us. With that said, Vietnam and China have a unique relationship. Vietnam's kind of like a brother to China in some ways. So it's a very complex relationship. But with that said, the administration and how they respond to things does impact your relationship on the ground. So, there are to get back to the question, working for different presidential administrations, you can feel that depending on, maybe a president comes in and Vietnam is not a top priority, or maybe even, and presidents don't just focus on one area. They have people within the department, particularly State Department and different bureaus, that focus in, Latin America or Middle East or Southeast Asia, you name it. But in that case for Vietnam, it did have some impact. So there's it trickles down to you, and you'll feel it as an RSO. So how accurate was 13 hours? I thought this. So from the GRS standpoint, I don't know. They made those dudes show out, look pretty cool. I know some GRS dudes that are friggin' good dudes, very capable, and I'd say that most of them are very capable. I haven't met any, I don't think, that are not squared away. DS, diplomatic security, wasn't painted in the best light. I had on the Off the X podcast, again, not to give myself a shameless plug, but we had Jeff Carlson on, and Jeff knew some of the guys that were there. And I know there's a comment in 13 Hours where the guy says, it might be like 1 year or one tour of military service between those guys. That's not accurate. I think, of however many were there, majority had military service, and it's even one of them maybe even extensive military service. Don't quote me, but that's my understanding. Spilling the ammo, you kind of see them coming in there and they're shaking, they're spilling the ammo. It generally, and you can, these offsites, everything's kitted up and planned. The physical infrastructure, the security infrastructure might not be as good as you want it in Erbil. For example, we were like a neighborhood with some T-walls here and there, but there were also some places where it's just fence. So the infrastructure, might not be the best, but in general, what you do when you get on the ground, when you set that up, one of the things you would do is set up your kit, set up your ammo, set up your quote unquote react room. And so when they're spilling the ammo and the kit wasn't ready and the guys are making bad decisions, I think it just really served to highlight the GRS guys and make DS look bad, because the GRS guys were the rescue dudes. And it is what it is. There's plenty of dudes in DS that are just as skillful as the GRS guys, and more so. And there's plenty that aren't. So, but that's kind of how that played out, or what I thought of it. I thought it was pretty entertaining movie, and they did a good job, and there were some accurate points as well. And maybe I should do one of these breakdown things and see and break down some of these movies about DS and how accurate some things are, like Fast and Furious, not accurate, by the way. So anyway, but what is accurate? So there's a part where where one of the DS agents is out there, kind of like negotiating with the guard force. It wasn't really guard force, it's like a militia there, and there's people like standing around. It's chaos, man. That's pretty accurate. Maybe any guard force, like a lot of these guard forces, like in Vietnam, for example, they were very skilled and set up. They did the same thing every day. It was very good. In Iraq, we had our own guards were very good, but our external it wasn't Zervani, it was Asaish. And they were good dudes too, but it was kind of like a chaos of when they weren't at post, they were at post, or sleeping on post, you name it. So I think that was kind of pretty accurate. And the other one I thought was, when I saw it, was they were all, the DS agents, when they're about to be under attack, were all sitting around smoking hookah. And it's like a thing that I did a lot in Iraq, and I think a lot of us do, is smoke hookah. And sitting around in flip-flops. We had a thing in Erbil. I didn't sit around in flip-flops. ISIS came up to about 8 miles nearby, and we had a lot going on there, so I didn't. But there's times in Baghdad where, against my better judgment as a young DS agent, where I was walking around in flip-flops. That probably only happened on my first. I'm pretty sure that only happened on my first time there, and we maybe got rocketed once, or someone was like, "Hey, knucklehead, put your shoes on." But I think I was walking to like the pool or something. So, but you can run fast without flip-flops, kick them off and run. So anyway, so I thought that was funny. So that's it. I don't know how helpful that is for people. I try to combine, I have answers, I have questions lining up, and people submit one or two there. They might submit a list, and I try to find some that are helpful, and then some that might be entertaining just to listen to. So what else we got going on? Off the X podcast, I released Adrian Diaz. It was like last week or the week before. I have another date open. I'm trying to schedule a guest here 2 Saturdays from now, and then I have to get that produced and get that out. Still selling t-shirts online, Off the X t-shirts. I got some hoodies. It's hot now, but got those available. I'm not pushing being a t-shirt company, and I don't want it to come off like that, although I'll have some ideas that I like. So maybe I'll have one or two more out there. Book's still selling. You can buy the book directly from me, CodyParron.com, or you can buy it from Amazon. You can get it on Audible. You can get it on Amazon as well as or on Apple as a digital copy, to read a digital copy. So plenty of places to get the book. And I have some news on the book coming out that as I get further in the process, I'll mention to you guys and girls. What else? Yeah, I think that's it. The Facebook group, Becoming a DSS Agent, it's starting to grow. And so, I think it's been kind of quiet lately, but if you're interested in becoming a DSS agent, fill out the questions, and I'll add you to the group. We just want people that are actually interested, not just, listening in just to cause trouble for whatever reason. So, but I see those answers. If you just hit submit and you don't write anything, I won't approve you. I'm not going to research who you are. So, just fill it out. But I think that group's been pretty helpful for some people. And I'll add that with the book. This is a shameless plug, but if you look at the reviews, people have said, I read his book several times before my interview, and it helped me pass. And I didn't know, I didn't do this for that reason, but in the book, a lot of times I'm going through, I'm putting on paper what my thought process was of why I did certain things, and why I made certain decisions, and why those outcomes were the outcomes that they were, and which were usually successful outcomes. And the times I've messed up, I've admitted to that as well in the book. So, I think that's pretty helpful. So, anyway, one thing I'm looking at doing, and timing's an issue, just because again I have a full-time job, and I have a young son, and my wife works her tail off. Is finding time to do these, and because I'm on the West Coast, it's not as easy as if I was in the middle of America or on the East Coast, where I can do something at 8 o'clock when my son's asleep, and have like a quote unquote happy hour, a virtual happy hour. And so I am looking to try to find a way to do that, where I have, I'll be around and have a few, 4, 5, 6, 7 people, and we just shoot the shit and ask questions if you got them, and go from there. And at some point, if it becomes successful, I don't know when I'm going to start this, but if you're interested in this, comment, somewhere, whether it be on YouTube or whatever. If you're interested in something like this, then ping me, and by gauging interest, I may put the burners on it to get it going a little faster. But yeah, the idea is just to have a pop open a beer and shoot the junk, and answer questions you guys might have, and maybe tell some stories. I got plenty of them that maybe don't warrant a full chapter in a book, but I think they're pretty cool stories. So, let me know. Let me know your interest, and we can potentially do that, and I'll figure out a way to one, make it work, and to execute, with however many people or whatever. So anyway, all right, now I'm just rambling. So I will thank you all, as always, for your support. Get you some apparel, get you the book. All this contributes to me wanting to, continue doing this. I do it because one, I want to help, I want to mentor, I enjoyed the job, I think it's a great organization, but it's having the support of buying apparel and books always continues to push me in the right direction. So I appreciate the support, as always. If you guys have any questions, where to find me, hit me up. Thanks, y'all. Out.